all noticed that it was hard for Sean to look at Nancy and Lionel while talking, while interacting, but that did not mean that he was trying to be rude or he didn't want to make friends. It is just hard for him. This skill of looking and talking to another person is hard, okay? And that is what we see when children or individuals have autism. So it is not that they don't want to make friends, but the way they approach people, the way they communicate with people is different.
So I'm going to tell you a small story of the school that I worked in and how this particular teacher brought about inclusion in her classroom. She was meeting a child on the spectrum for the first time, and before the child was to go to her class, I of course spoke to her and explained to her about autism. And she was quite skeptical and kind of worried how is she going to manage a child with autism in her class, and as we all know, you have 30 students in a classroom. One day she calls me to the class, and I was wondering, this is early morning, and I'm like, okay, what's happened? She calls me to the class and she says, just wait at the door and just watch. So I said, all right. She calls the boy up and she opens her register and she says, all right, let's start. And he starts calling out the roll call on the register. And after every number, he stops and waits for the child to say present. And he goes on. At one point he stops, let's assume the number was 17, and he keeps repeating 17, says it louder, and I'm wondering why he's doing this, because probably the child isn't there in class. But I can see him looking at one particular child, and he says it louder and louder, and suddenly the child realizes and says present. And I was really in awe to see this, because here is a teacher who recognized the strength of her child and what he was good at and used that to include him in the classroom. He had literally memorized which child was which roll number, and that is amazing. And he would wait for them to respond. If they didn't respond, he would call it out again and again till they responded. And once he was done, he closed the register, had a massive smile on his face, and his teacher, of course, appreciated him, and he went back to his seat smiling. This is inclusion. This is inclusion by a regular teacher who actually took the time to recognize what was the strength of her student and thought about ways in which she could include him in her class.
So talking about my own autism awareness, it grew right from the time I was a small child. This awareness changed significantly so many times and in so many ways when I was growing up. And of course, when my own son was diagnosed with autism, this awareness grew some more. But it does not stop there. I'm not now an expert just because my son is autistic. My awareness still continuously evolves. But all I'm doing is just being a mother. To have my own awareness and acceptance of autism to grow continually is part of that role as a mother. When we look at statistics, there is a very good chance that more than a handful of people in our extended communities are autistic. And at the end of the day, we all want to do right by each other. Think of the people in your own community and form your role. How are you going to embrace autism awareness in a way that can make you a better friend, a more patient teacher, a more respectful husband, or a kinder neighbor to someone with autism? It's that simple.